Your trash crew, and we're ostensibly live. I hope you're all ostensibly well, because we're ostensibly playing Star Trek.
Did we fuck it up this time, like last time?
Yeah,
no, I've got no copyright music playing.
Oh yeah.
I gave you my heart and you turned round.
I'm all out of love.
Who's that at the door? It's Warner Brothers. They're pissed.
Oh shit!
Yeah, but at you, we gave them your address.
Yeah,
yeah, that's why they're at your.
You're the legal entity of the trash crew, so we're immune.
Mm-hmm. We can just carry on singing.
Oh,
fun.
Yeah.
Off I go to court.
Good luck, buddy.
Meanwhile, while Mike's being dragged off by Warner.
Yeah, and now would be a great time to sign up on Patreon to pay for Mike's legal fees. So we're playing Star Trek Iskandar, and this is part 2 of Occam's Razor. I hope you are as caught up as you'd like to be on part 1. Here's a quick recap. Athan is not on board the Iskandar at the moment. She's been kept back at the last part of the diplomatic conference, the Peace and Reconciliation Summit, because a great political event has occurred. On the Romulan homeworld, the Senate have voted to kick out their current executive branch and replace it with themselves. And they've demanded that the Federation recognize that this new body, which is calling itself the Provisional Protectorate, are the lawful authority and get all diplomatic recognition. At the same time, the Federation has received communication from the Continuing Committee, the executive branch, saying, no, don't worry about that. We're in charge. This is nothing to do with you. By the way, we've got all the warships. So given that most of the Federation's diplomats are all in one place, the Presidium of the Federation has gone, yeah, you guys are figuring this out. And so the Starfleet diplomats and the Federation civilian diplomats are both trying to make a formal recommendation to the Presidium. The problem is they don't agree. The Starfleet diplomats tend towards the position that we should maintain relations with the Praetor and the Continuing Committee, because they're the ones who are really in charge of the Empire. Plus, they also have the guns. Plus, they've also maintained pretty good relations with us so far. Whereas the civilian Federation diplomats have said, yes, but the treaty says that the Senate is the sovereign body in the Romulan Imperium, so we have to do what they say. And it's, you know, it's complicated. And Athan had a nice conversation with Space George Bush, former Federation President Jairzinho, who was really, really ineffectual and went to tyranny on a hair trigger. And is now an ex-president, but thinks he's a bit of a grandee. Meanwhile, the Iskandar has been set the task of rescuing a sibling ship, the USS Berenike, which has disappeared into the Raxikos system, which exists in a supragravitic fold, which in Starfleet parlance they call a shoal, because ships can get stuck on it, for want of a more precise term. The Berenike was meant to make contact and hasn't. So the Iskandar's gone in, because obviously when someone goes into a dangerous location and goes missing, the next thing you do is you send someone else in. Now, I'm not sure how far Starfleet's going to take this, if the entire fleet will eventually end up in the Raxikos system, but I guess we'll find out. While searching, they did come stuck on a minor shoal themselves and were almost smacked in the warp nacelles by a small Vulcan ship. Thanks to some timely tractor beam based action, they were not, and they rescued a Vulcan pilgrim called Lashar, who inadvisedly had come to the Vulcan pilgrim. Emily, yeah, way to dig your elbows in. Who ostensibly had come to fulfill some strange path of pilgrimage that her sect fulfill. Presently, her ship is in the Iskandar's shuttle bay, and she's wandering about her quarters. I'd say bored, but she's a Vulcan. She's probably physically incapable of tedium. And we ended the session, after a bit of interrogation of Lashar, we've ended the session with acting Captain Talandra being told that the Berenike is finally in visual sensor range. So I think we will start with Talandra dramatically walking onto the bridge. Report, Ensign, and all that stuff. And the Berenike is brought up on screen, and it's magnified. James Malloy will be very happy because its saucer section has indeed separated. The problem is it's an Intrepid class starship. Their saucer sections can't do that. Its star drive section it is as though the ship has been sliced in half. The star drive section is not appearing on sensors. It is nowhere to be found. And let me tell you, since the star drive section normally features the warp core, it shows up on sensors. It's gone. There is just a floating half of a starship. There are no lights. There is no readable external power.
Can we hail them?
We can try, Captain. We're in a class Delta gravitic fold at the moment. Our comms might be a little distorted, but in theory, the adaptations we made should work. That's not working. I can't read any power from their comms system, Captain.
Scan for life signs.
I'm sending you the results, Captain. You can see from the readout that the cycle of scans that's been performed are reading really inconsistent results. Some are returning absolutely zero life signs. Some are returning a large number of weak life signs, and some are returning a very small number of life signs.
Bridgesworth and Linkovich.
Linkovich, yeah?
We have come across the Berenike. Are you able to achieve any sort of transporter from this range?
I'm afraid not, Captain. Not with any reasonable hope of success.
Very well. She uncoms. She's talking to the bridge now. She's not talking to Linkovich. I shall prepare an away party. Lieutenant Vance to the captain's ready room. Kath, I think you're muted.
Wherever I am,
Oh.
I go there.
Oh, you're there. I just meant more like, come with me,
Oh, right,
if you
okay,
will.
Yeah. he goes.
It's hard. I can't put a lot of inflection.
I thought that was your comms voice. That was my confusion.
I didn't punch myself in the boob.
Okay, yeah, no, my mistake.
The situation looks potentially very bad.
Yes, ma'am. If they're completely out of power, that means that life support is going to be low, which means time is going to be of the essence in recovering any survivors aboard.
Which means Lieutenant Strange must come on this away mission. But it occurs to me that we are in an awkward part of space.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are without Lieutenant Kantos.
Yes, ma'am.
I intend to go on this away mission, and I intend to leave the Iskandar in your hands. I do not need to give you my reasoning, however I shall. That should a tactical situation arise whilst the away mission is absent, you are much better placed to command the ship in a situation like that.
Ma'am, you're not gonna get much argument from me. Unless there was a physical threat over there, which we have no reason to believe that there is. There's no urgent need for me to be.
Of course, but were I in your position as acting first officer, I would tell the acting captain that it is not proper to send the captain on an away mission.
Yeah, but you're an XO generally, so I know you know that.
Yes. And also I am acting captain. I am not putting risk to the captain, and you and I effectively command as a duality.
I don't think that's actually practically accurate, Commander. I have, as third officer, But I agree with your logic. And do you need me to say I formally object, put it in paperwork?
I don't believe that will be necessary. However, should something terrible happen, I will accept, and I told you so.
I mean, I haven't. So.
Do you believe I should take Zal with me on this mission?
Yes.
In case it is dangerous?
Yes. You'll need a security escort. If nothing else, there may still be a certain amount of heavy lifting, and, you know, God knows that Karis is the best person to send for that.
Yes, I am certain that I would struggle very much with the heavy lifting.
Multiple hands make these things easier. And also, yes, it's a responsibility. The security department is to ensure your safety.
Very well. I will communicate with Lieutenant Strange and depart as soon as possible. If you would coordinate the security detail for me.
I'll send a thing. That'll be fine. Might I recommend that you attempt to bring some pattern buffer boosters for the transporters on the off chance that someone may need emergency beam out, considering that we do not have Dr. Burov with us and thus cannot necessarily send our best medical assistance.
I shall make that request of Lieutenant Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Very well. To business.
I'm not going to be uptight about this. I'm going to go take the chair. I don't want it.
Computer, cup of coffee.
Have the chair, Kath.
That information is disseminated. Tilandra's not saying anything that she isn't saying in that meeting. I'm not going to go, Lieutenant Strange, don't forget the pattern buffers.
The pattern buffers, Gromit. We've forgotten the pattern buffers.
Remember, you can take Dr. Light with you if you wish.
Oh, that's a thought.
He does come with his own projector.
Oh, does he? I didn't.
He's got a little. He's got his positronic brain is also a projector. He usually sits where it is, and he uses the sick bay as projectors, but he is mobile.
Huh.
That might be a smart idea.
I was assuming that he didn't have a mobile emitter, being 30th century tech.
30th century tech they brought back with them.
Yeah.
Yes, so my intention is Tilandra, Zal, Strange to the Berenike, Casey, Vance on the Iskandar. I forgot our ship's name.
Well, so yeah, the briefing is actually that because it's the scale of the gravitic fold is delta, which means that Iskandar shouldn't have too many troubles navigating, especially with the modifications that Strange did at the beginning of last session. A shuttle should be absolutely fine. You wouldn't want to be a Galaxy-class starship in a class delta gravitic fold. You'll get stuck on everything. It seems like very, very bad luck that the Berenike did. So yes, you fly in. There are docking ports on the saucer section of the hull. Oh, hi, and the meltdowns. There's been a saucer separation. I thought you would like to know that. It was involuntary and not on the technical manual for the ship.
I think
but it's
the saucer
happened.
separation probably summoned and the meltdowns.
It might have done, actually. I said saucer separation. Something wonderful is happening somewhere.
If their pilot isn't called Malloy, I will riot. Because then technically the pilot who didn't do the maneuver got them cut in half.
Yeah, so I think you probably land. You'll want to land, I assume, as far away from the rift in the ship as possible. And there's a landing port on the underside, near where its weird bonus yacht is located. The bonus yacht, and you detect that there is indeed minimal life support. But, you know, I assume you've brought suits anyway, so there's no real need to concern yourself. You activate the emergency hatch, which you have to use the shuttle's reactor to power. The Berenike is on emergency power. Because it's only a very small starship, it does have a fusion generator somewhere in the saucer section. It's a very small one. The thing you do with it is you turn on some sort of emergency comms beacon, put all your power and life support, and huddle. And that is what you hope that they had time to do, although you probably spend as little time as possible dwelling on the people in the star drive section, wherever it is they have ended up. And you make your way into a Jeffries junction, which you know, because this is a ship that it's identical to Iskandar, which you know is not far from the bridge. But you also have a more detailed readout of the Berenike. So the cutoff was much of the way down the ship. So you can expect things like deflector control is still here, sick bay is still here, the crew quarters I think are in the saucer anyway. It's mostly lost the warp core, shuttle bay, and everything after that. And the warp core in this ship is actually fairly. It's more central than it would be in something like a bigger ship. So it's lost it, but probably the dramatic shot probably shows half of engineering. That's probably where it's cut off.
Strange is deeply upset by this.
Yeah, there's a warp core out there somewhere, and 60 people.
Yeah, but there's a warp core somewhere.
There's a warp. Well, unlike the 60 people, the warp core will probably still be running.
Also, the main computers in the
the main computer.
Also, I will point out. I will defend Adam Strange. Some of those 60 people might have been engineers.
But more importantly, there's a pretty lost warp core out there in space on its own.
We call that an
Where is
orphan.
it? Important.
You're a thing.
Where's everyone? I just want to go to warp. I just want to make enough power in a minute to fuel a small civilization.
You're a thing.
Yeah.
Casey, come and collect your boyfriend.
I think he needs a timeout.
Nevertheless,
Potentially through Jeffries tubes and access hatches, you have access to all of those parts of the ship.
Lieutenant Strange, our primary focus must be the life support and safe extraction of these people. I leave it to your discretion whether that involves stabilizing the ship first or managing the life support first. I trust your judgment, but Dr. Light will remain with you, as I imagine you will be going into the heart of the danger.
Very well, Captain. Right. Let's sort this life support, as I think the ship is stable enough for now.
Unless something should change, Lieutenant Zal, the security team are here to aid and support as ancillary engineers that Lieutenant Strange can use to his advantage.
Understood.
I'm led to believe that security in its rawest form will not be required, but we never know. Until then, we dock on my mark.
Understood.
I'm just flying with things.
You land with no problem. You're in the Jeffries hatch.
When you're ready. I do the appropriate gesture.
Yep. You have to patch the hatch through to power from the shuttle.
There is much patch hatchery.
Much patch hatchery. Okay. Where are you going first?
Towards the sources of the life signs, I thought.
Okay. You cannot read any life signs on your tricorders.
Forgive me. I thought that since you said the way this works is you do a bunch of flapdoodling and then you huddle in life support and pray.
Yep.
That we would go to life support to see if there were people doing that.
Well, life support. I don't think life support is a specific section of the ship.
Oh, forgive me. I thought it was. That's on me. I will let Roomba pick then because she knows the layout of the ship and I don't.
Bold of you to make that assumption. But
you have the maps.
I actually don't. They're all. 1 second. I'm
You've
gonna.
looked.
I mean, there's no fail state here. You can't you can't pick a wrong room.
I feel like I picked a wrong room.
You can pick a room that doesn't exist, such as life support or the badminton courts.
I'm pretty sure I'm a room that exists.
Classically, the mess hall gets used in Voyager as a disaster relief room.
Yeah, that's fine. I was trying to very smoothly do the thing that was suggested, but I fucked that up, and now we're having a negotiation about it. I go to the room that we go to.
Okay, it sounds like you're going to the mess hall.
We're going to reuse the mess hall set for.
Yeah. It's a good cheap set. There's not much going on.
Yeah, there's no point using sets that you.
Having
like
I mean, it's another Intrepid class. We just need to reuse all the same sets.
That's why half the fleet is Intrepid class. On your way, you encounter no one, and you read no life signs. But you also encounter no bodies. You encounter no remains at all. You arrive at the mess hall, and I think you've got. There's enough power to open the internal doors.
Yeah, his name's Zal.
In some cases, that may be necessary, yes.
I am hench. I do this thing.
Bench press those doors.
There is no one within.
Huh.
Right.
Potentially quite distressing.
Potentially, I'm thinking we might. If nobody's in the mess hall, and there's been no sign of anybody on the way from where we docked to the mess hall, I think we might need to have a look at some kind of see what records there are of what happened and see if any message has been left by the Berenike's captain on the bridge, maybe that we can pick up.
That would have been my next stop, especially since engineering has been destroyed.
Yes.
To bridge.
Right. Move up to the bridge.
You move up to the bridge. No people, no bodies, no remains of any kind, except you do see a few marks on one of the bulkheads consistent with small arms fire.
Zal, what do you make of these?
So I was going to go over and with a combat mind try and figure out what kind of situation were they in. Is this the kind of phaser pattern that you'd see on a scorch mark from a usual Starfleet issue phaser, or is this something else?
You can do me a phasers roll, which I think will in this case be you getting your tricorder out and analyzing things with your tactical brain on.
I love that. You garbage monster. It's a 3.
Certainly this is this mark was created by a high energy discharge of some kind. You would probably air more disruptor than phaser.
And forgive me, Intrepid classes tend to have disruptor rifles as well as phaser rifles within their weapons banks.
I believe the Federation usually uses phasers only. I'm not sure what the exact difference is, but you don't detect the same particle decay that you would expect if this had been a phaser burst. You would guess this was a disruptor, which means Klingon, Romulan, Breen, probably.
Kind of ship that's really good at killing husbands. He will disrupt a rifle.
Oh.
Talandra is going to attempt to access the logs.
You have to do a bit of jiggery pokery to get the power to route itself to this console, but that's easy peasy. You know the sort of emergency access codes. You are met with a large flashing message. Logs deleted.
Does it say under whose authority?
Roll me operations.
Sorry, slow computer.
I thought you had
The
your
operations
box
bonus
of
is
dice.
+3.
No, I'm going to my character sheet. Thank you. I got a 3.
Okay, so the authorization code is blank.
That
Sorry?
a thing? Is that a thing?
Oh, that is a thing. That is a thing when it has been done illegitimately. That is a thing when, for example, sometimes in the old days, in the days of the original Enterprise, you would get power surges might eradicate data. That doesn't happen anymore. The ODN relays are much better than that. There are a few glitches that can result in deletion, and when that happens, the authorization code is blank. It might also happen if someone who was not authorized to do it had hacked in and done it.
What's the authorization level for this? Like, is it Captain, First Officer, Chief Security? Is that it? Or
No, captain only.
oh, okay.
In which case, there would still be a paper trail. There would still be an authorization code and a time signature for when this deletion occurred. There is neither of those things.
Strange. Can you confirm this?
Have a look. Hackety hack, hack, hack.
Strange. You can do engineering or operations. I'm going to assume engineering is your preference.
Shockingly, I'm going to go with... Oh, no, I'm going to go with engineering. And I'm very glad I did, because the dice were garbage. I've got a 1.
Okay, so because this is engineering, you look at the interface and go, well, there's nothing more I can do with this. So you go down, you sort of take off the ODN panel and start having a look at the physical thing. You can see, when you take the casing off, there's this rattling sound, a clacking sound. And a couple of those weird plastic chips Starfleet loves to use that are gigantic in real life have been pulled out, and they're just loose inside the casing, but you're not able to tell much more than that.
Okay, so it look... Does it look like it's basically been kind of wiped as in a brute force method then? But
You're not sure.
Like, take the chips out and put them back in wrong so that there's nothing left because they wipe themselves.
I suppose the strongest conclusion you could come to is whoever did it was in a hurry.
Okay.
Otherwise, they probably would have just destroyed the chips rather than just unplugged them, put the panel back on, and moved on. But that's about as much as you know.
Okay. I'm going to put the chips back in.
Yeah. As you pick the chips up, and you can see that one of them's cracked as if it's been smashed deliberately, and the other one goes in, but there's no response from the computer.
Okay. Well, whoever did this was in a rush. As you know, a bunch of these have just been taken out, and this one's been pretty crudely smashed. But because it's been smashed, putting the chips back in doesn't get this back up and running.
It is increasingly concerning that there should be disruptor fire on the bridge and the records be hurriedly broken by someone without authority.
Yes.
We shall search the ship.
Yes.
I would
Wondering if
suggest
somebody's made a
visiting-
personal log somewhere and left it up.
Dr. Light says, I would like to visit sick bay at the earliest opportunity, Captain.
We will attend there first, then, Doctor.
Let's go back to the Iskandar. Ensign Tarek says to you, Lieutenant, I've got a communication coming through from our guest, Madame Le Chat.
All right, put it through.
Is this the bridge?
Yeah, this is Lieutenant Vance speaking. How can I help you, ma'am?
I would like very much to resume my journey, please.
That can be arranged shortly, but not at this exact moment, I'm afraid, ma'am.
I'm afraid I disagree quite strongly, Lieutenant. Since I'm a Federation citizen, not presently under arrest for a crime, and since this system does not fall within Federation space, I do not believe you have either the jurisdiction nor the justification for keeping me a prisoner on board your ship. Repairs have been stated to have been completed by your captain.
Also, the investigation of a missing Starfleet ship has happened, and I'm sure I could conduct some investigations if necessary of your potential, of the circumstances which led to you almost colliding with our ship, ma'am. If you please delay for an hour or so, we can see about having you being on your way.
I'm afraid that it has been quite long enough, Lieutenant. I am at risk of missing the window for the meditation I've come here specifically for. And I must say your conduct is disappointing.
Your complaint is noted, ma'am.
My complaint will not be directed at you, Lieutenant, but at the Admiral for this sector, and it will feature your name prominently. As a citizen of Vulcan, I am formally demanding you release me and my ship at once.
We will take further examination of your ship and ascertain how we can get you going as soon as possible.
My ship has been confirmed to be repaired by your chief engineer.
You've stated this, and also you offered the opportunity for us to investigate your ship. And
Opportunity you have taken, Lieutenant, and I am now formally I'm formally withdrawing my permission for you to do so, as I wish to get underway immediately, unless you can provide a legal basis for impounding my vessel, which I believe very firmly that you cannot, since I am a citizen in good standing. I demand
a
that
citizen
you
in
allow
good
me
standing
access
whose
to my
potential negligence or possible error on your part or on the part of your ship led to a near collision only averted by this ship
Yes, Captain.
with this starship, and that is a situation which I have not had resolved to my satisfaction as to how that came about.
Lieutenant, if you can show me in the laws of the Federation where negligence is a crime, so be it. If you are bringing a civil charge against me, then filing in the Federation courts is something you are at liberty to do. However, it does not grant you the right under any article of Starfleet or the Federation law to impound a civilian ship without due cause.
Under a crisis situation of investigating a missing Starfleet ship, this puts you as a potential point of interest over the course of this investigation.
I am packing my things now, and I will return to my ship within the next few minutes. If I am impounded illegally, then I am within my rights under Article 73 of the Federation Constitution to force my way through your shuttle bay. And you may consult the Constitution on that, Lieutenant.
I also may consult my Starfleet regulations, which under this situation of a crisis to recover and identify missing Starfleet officers in a missing Starfleet ship and the oddities which have surrounded your own behavior and circumstances of being here. I do believe I'm within my rights to continue this investigation, ma'am. You are not yet permitted to leave this ship. Bridge out. Security, please post a guard upon our guest's quarters and upon the ship docked within our vessel.
Right, you are.
Lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to, I don't know, replicate her ship within the holodeck and produce a program that can be run to give her the illusion of traveling through space, should we get to the position that we can no longer detain her.
I'm pretty comfortable with my rights on this. She happened to pop up somewhere. A ship went missing, has now been blown in half and almost crashed into us. I think she's a person of interest in our investigations.
Okay.
I appreciate your thinking, but this is horseshit.
Fake holodecking. Fake holodecking would have that second pip taken off your collar, Mr. Casey. if that got back to command, I mean, Vance is at risk here because the law is on Lashard's side.
She's a person of interest who almost crashed into a fucking ship when we're trying to investigate a ship that's been blown up in half. I'm sticking with my person of interest in this investigation grounds.
But look, like all persons of interest in criminal cases, she has an unusual knowledge of the law.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem is, if she's telling the truth, she's a Vulcan, so it's not sus. But
she has already lied.
Yes.
So you know, when she talks about having a good faith basis for impounding her ship, she might be on thin ice a little bit, especially since components from the missing starship were found on her shuttle. So you know, she might not be right. But that depends on whether you get a Vulcan judge or not. I don't know why all judges aren't Vulcans. They seem like they're eminently qualified for. I don't know why all judges and all aren't Vulcans and all jurors aren't.
That depends on interpretation of law perspective, because laws are usually not written explicitly to require perfect.
Plus, we all have far more important things to be doing.
That's true. Many of us are scientists or constantly raising our eyebrows at humans. It's a job.
If we didn't do it, who would?
Until Vulcans came around, no one did. We didn't know what a raised eyebrow was.
We'd never been talked down to like that before. It really humbled us.
It didn't, though.
It didn't. The first season of Enterprise is a joke. Excellent. Back on the Berenike, you make it to sickbay. You actually have to go to some effort to get the door open. But you use some emergency command codes. You can see that both the door and the control panel for the door have come under fire. Again, small arms fire.
Is it again disruptor fire?
You would have to scan to find out, but visually it looks similar to the other markings. Yes.
You go ahead. Do that scan.
Yeah, I guess phasers, possibly ops.
Oh god, I don't actually. What are my boys' stats for these? This isn't engineering, so it's not a thing. I know.
You just have a big post-it note on your desk that just says engineering.
I mean, yes, but that's because I'm. I use this for work as well.
Looks like your ops score is
is 2, and phasers no. my phaser score is pal. That is 2.
Again, you're not sure. You would air towards disruptor, but you couldn't be more refined than that.
Okay.
But in any case, you are able to get power to the door, and with a combination of powering the door servos and a bit of brute strength and ignorance.
He needs command codes. We've got an Andorian.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get into sickbay, and this is where you see your first bodies. There are 4 bodies within. 2 of them are on biobeds. 1 is on the floor, splayed out, and you can see strapped around their shoulder a phaser rifle. And 1, whom Talandra and Zal both recognize as Captain Redan, is slumped up against a biobed. Dr. Light moves in and immediately begins scanning. He moves on pretty quickly from the one on the floor and the 2 on the biobeds. Captain.
Doctor.
This man is alive, but only barely.
Can we activate the biobeds?
There wouldn't be enough power, sir.
Is there anything in this room that you can interface with to help?
I may be able to persuade the medical replicators to function. This man seems to be in a rather clumsily self-induced coma. Ah.
Yes. That will be why.
Yes. The symbiont is surprisingly sturdy, Captain. The symbiont seems rather well. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the captain here. This man is lucky to still be alive and may have an hour or less. And that means the symbiont also has that time. He will immediately go to the replicator and see if he can begin to power it up. I think you probably, after your first couple of rooms, you probably went back to the shuttle and got a few emergency power cells, just in case there was a high power system that needed to get up and running. Strange, you can probably start trying to hook one up to a bio bed.
Mm-hmm.
It won't run for long, but maybe long enough to save a life. Let's go and see how Captain Athan
From one trill to another.
is getting.
Romulans.
You're in one of the situation rooms that's been established. You're in Captain Foster's wee group. As you know, after your chat with Jaroshinyo, Captain Foster was asked to go and see him as well. He's gone for a good amount of time and returned while you're all sort of looking over certain details of Federation law and Starfleet protocol and things like this, you know. And he enters the room looking rather perplexed. Athan, can I borrow you for a second?
Of course, Captain.
That man can really talk.
Yes, he can.
It was a very strange conversation.
Indeed.
Well, it was philosophical, but not of much. I didn't get much out of it. But at the very end, there was something he said. Oh, by the way, he's taken quite a shine to you.
I was polite.
I think many are less than polite to him these days. He responds well to it.
That being anything else didn't seem as if it would get him to tell me what he was thinking.
Actually, he was a bit more specific than you were a bit polite. He said you were very persuasive. The exact thing he said was, you were almost persuasive. That was his exact phrase. You were almost persuasive. And then he said that he remembered that he had other obligations. And then he corrected himself and said, higher obligations. And then made excuses and left.
I find that fascinating because I didn't particularly try to convince him of anything. I asked him of his stance. I pressed him on a few points. I made it clear that I was there to try to understand the justification for siding with the Protectorate, but I didn't exactly make a bid on behalf of the continuing committee.
Having spoken to him for most of an hour, it's very clear to me that he is someone who finds any remotely convincing position to be persuasive, whether that's the other speaker's intention or not. But what I found interesting was this way he phrased it.
Other obligations, higher obligations.
I'm assuming that your work back here isn't bearing much fruit.
So far as I can tell, interpretations on the Treaty of Algernon could go round and round in circles, and I conclude that people are going to interpret what they choose to.
Then I might put you to something that might be more productive.
By all means.
My impression from talking to some of the other Federation diplomats is a lot of them are wavering but won't budge if it puts them in opposition to Jaroshinyo. It seems our emeritus president still wields a good deal of career-ending authority, should he put his mind to it. Which means that he is the linchpin. Yes. Now, he's a very evasive man. Of course he is. He was Federation president for 2 terms. But he also has one of the largest diplomatic staffs of all of the diplomats present here. And that brings me to you. I wondered if you might employ the same politeness that so endeared our ex-president to you with some of his members of staff. Perhaps they know something. If he owes someone a favor, if someone has some influence over him, it would be good to know that.
I don't disagree. I'm just trying to think on what possible justification I can give for going around and asking his staff about him. It's one thing for me to ask him of his position, another thing to start quizzing his staff.
There's a reason that I have put this strange assignment to you, Captain, and I have no authority to order you to do it. But the reason is that Jarish Anu himself seems to believe that, let me see, how can I put this? He seems to believe that you might be a good go-between for the 2 disputing parties.
Very well.
I would like to exploit that belief of his. I mean, obviously, if you're persuaded to his argument, so be it. But my belief is that he's not that persuaded to it, but for some reason feels obliged to it.
Frankly, I found that his stance was motivated primarily by the interests of stability rather than principle.
His stance is motivated by stability. Yes, I suppose that's one way of putting it.
Safety.
I might put it as living a quiet life.
Mm.
And I suspect, but it seemed to me to be a very cautious position, not really very robust.
No.
It didn't stand up to my questions, and perhaps I was a little less polite than you, but I did try to test the limits of this principle.
Well, fundamentally, he kept shifting on what his justification was.
Mm-hmm.
His justification was one moment the treaty, and then justifying the protectorate's authority, and then justifying the motivation behind, wouldn't it be better if the Romulans left us alone? And if he believes so sincerely in that the treaty demands that we observe the protectorate, then that should be the only position he needs. Anything else is smoke and mirrors. He was scrabbling to justify his own position rather than having a sincere belief, in my opinion.
Which left me with the impression that the position has been imposed upon him.
Mm-hmm. And
I wouldn't normally mind that, except that everyone else is looking to him as though he's some bastion of judgment.
I can start to make some inquiries, speak with some of his staff.
If it goes nowhere, it goes nowhere. But
no, I was thinking, I suppose other techniques is if we can try to get more of his conversations with him, some of his fellow diplomats, and some of our side, you or me or someone else. And again, we can put the positions, the pro-continuing committee positions to him. Then they might see the weakness of his justification. And whilst, yes, he may have someone who's got something on him, if he looks weak in front of those other diplomats, then that's not going to please him either. He'll thrive upon their approval and support.
Yes. That sounds like a project for me then.
Yes, and I'll play nice with the staff.
All right. This might work.
Let's find out.
Okay, so obviously because the attendees of the conference are they're listed, they're available. You can see who is in Jarish Anu's staff. There are 2 who seem to be good places to start.
Mm-hmm.
One is Ikar Ishil, who has been Jarish Inyo's administrative assistant since near the start of his political career.
Mm-hmm.
So they've known each other for maybe 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Another Grazerite, another space cow man. And the other is Emelina Stivlitz. And Emelina Stivlitz is
a Dickensian villain?
A Dickensian villain, no. Emelina Stivlitz is a relatively junior diplomat. But works directly under Ikar Ishil, which means she has possibly the perfect ratio of access to loyalty for your purposes.
Yeah, I'll start with her and not his admin assistant who's known him for 20 years.
The guy who knows where all the skeletons are buried, but would rather die than tell you.
And probably has some of his own skeletons mixed in there. I don't think one coffee is going to break him.
No, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that because of her reasonably junior position, you probably find Ms. Stivlitz ferrying messages here and there. And although she is working directly under Jaroshinya's assistant, she's, I would say, the biggest fish in the small pond of the junior diplomats. So she's probably quite easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
All the dogs' bodies know where she is. And you probably find her getting a Raktajino in the refectory.
Hop up, try to grab her in the queue. Ms. Stivlitz.
Yes.
My name's Captain Athan, USS Iskandar.
Oh, pleasure to meet you.
With
you're
diplomatic
Captain
contingent.
Athan.
Yes.
Oh, I've heard a good deal about you.
And likewise, actually.
Really?
Of course.
From who?
People discussing the staffers here, the diplomatic corps here.
Oh. I suppose don't believe everything you hear unless it's good, in which case do.
All good, I assure you. Mind if I join you?
Please. Can I get you anything?
Another Raktajino. Sounds good.
Raktajino. Lovely. Here we are.
So I've been. I met with President Jaroshenyo earlier, and it's very much my hope that Starfleet and the diplomatic corps here can, frankly, make sure that we're keeping clear and open communication about the Romulan situation.
Right. Yes.
We have to make sure that we put a recommendation to the Presidium, and I find tribalism, bickering between branches, honestly quite tiresome. We're all on the same side here.
In the mess hall earlier on at breakfast, I heard someone call it the Great Divide, and I remember thinking, well, that's not really. We're supposed to be on the same team here.
I mean, this might be because I'm, usually serving on a starship, so I suppose I've not been too embroiled in any of the background politics of Starfleet's team. But as I say, I think I'd much rather, frankly, make sure we can exchange notes, understand where we're all coming from. And from what I hear, obviously there are so many, the president's obviously deeply busy, but from what I hear, you're one of the people here with your ear to the ground.
Well, I do have... I do meet with him. Well, not myself personally, but I'm in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard the arguments being put about. Certainly, I understand the position that the diplomatic service is taking. Yes,
he was very helpful in starting to lay it out when we spoke earlier. But obviously, he's busy. There's only so much I can take up his time and would want to take up his time. So I thought if maybe you and I could possibly get the opportunity to hash things out, see if we can't reach some sort of consensus while everyone else is too busy bickering, as you say, about the Great Divide.
Well, the truth is, I Never mind. That doesn't matter.
Please, you say, as you say, you're in the room a lot. That sort of access for
I-
up-and-coming diplomat as yourself is no. Let's be practical about this. It's invaluable.
I know, but the problem is I'd say I speak for myself, but obviously I'm here on this station because I'm in a retinue, and I wouldn't want to tell tales out of school. And
I think, as I said, we're all here for the good of the Federation, and I think really pretending as if there are teams is only going to stymie things more. It's going to make it harder for us to reach a solid way forward and give the best advice.
I'm on this wouldn't make it back to the president, would it?
I had one conversation with him. I think he's hardly likely to fit me into his schedule again in the future. Don't worry. I understand sometimes the slightly little people have to get things done.
Oh, well, believe me, he called you a promising young officer, which is his rather strange way of saying he liked you. But look, the truth is, I understand the position, I think, that he and the others are taking. I don't necessarily agree that it's a working interpretation of the Treaty of Alderaan. And I've been trying to author an abstract briefing him about my interpretation, but I can't. That seems awfully arrogant of me. He hasn't asked for my input, and I know that Ikar Ishil would not. Ikar Ishil would look it over and then chuck it away. But the truth is, I think it's too strict a reading of the treaty, and I think it ignores several surrounding articles that specifically mention the continuing committee as wielding executive authority. And the strange thing is, I thought that Jaroshinyo did as well. I was with him when he found out about the coup. Oh, blast it! We've been trying not to call it a coup because that's not yet the official position.
Situation.
But I don't know a better word for it.
Situation is always a good neutral term.
When we learned about the situation, and his reaction was very much, well, to hell with the provisional protectorate. I mean, his actual words were, to hell with them. The continuing committee are the ones we deal with. And, I remember a good deal of nodding along, and Ikar Ishil was nodding along. And anyway, I went about to try and gather up some of my peers, and we were getting together a meeting, as I imagine the Starfleet officials were doing. And maybe an hour later, we had the meeting, and he stood up and he said, "We must throw our support behind the protectorate." And Ikar Ishil was standing there nodding along. "Ah, yes, very wise, Mr. President." I imagine maybe in the between times he'd had chance to reflect, but it seemed very strange to me.
Yes, I'm curious as to what information might have come to light to change his mind.
I mean, he can't very well have read the entire Treaty of Alderaan in an hour and come to a completely opposite opinion. But
Did he meet with someone in that time? Someone might have put something to him.
I imagine he must have had a flurry of communications.
Yes, I suppose so.
Unfortunately, I wasn't there, and I am not in a position where I can ask Ikar Ishil things like, say, how come the ex-president of this quadrant of the galaxy has changed his mind suddenly? But it did seem very sudden to me, but it was very because his reaction was, both of his positions were completely opposite, but so strong. Like
maybe there is still some way you can be of help to, at least to Ikar Ishil off that, because a great thing that you can do in your position is to be able to write various position papers and such briefing papers to condense this information. And if information's come to support and encourage President Jaroshenyu to change his mind on that, maybe Ikar Ishil can help explain his change so you can help better brief him.
I suppose. I mean, I can't very well be expected to write a position that I don't fully understand if I don't know how it was arrived at?
Exactly. There's clearly some information missing, which the president is aware of, but obviously these things are usually more complicated than one single piece. If he learns something, then for you to best support him, you need to be able to put it in its proper context.
The thing is, no, I suppose I can't. I can't hide behind being very junior in my position. I am in the position I'm in. I work directly for Icarishil. There's no point to me doing this job if I can't ask questions. He doesn't normally respond well to them, but I don't think we've got time for that sort of nicety right now.
You've also earned this position from your work. You didn't just get suddenly landed here.
Well,
you have a
no.
backing of your career and your talents behind you.
Yes. And well, there might be other factors, but let's say that's true.
There are always reasons we're in the places that we are, and yes, I'm sure luck plays a part, but luck plays a part for literally everybody.
I hope I'm good at my job, and it is a job I want to do. But my brother serves on the Federation Council,
Mm-hmm.
and I think favors were owed one way or the other.
That might have helped you get someone's attention, but you had to keep it.
Yes, I suppose that's true. Thank you. I hadn't really... I do have this sort of imposter syndrome around it, thinking, oh, do I deserve to be here? But no, you're right. I've been here for a year now. They'd have gotten rid of me if I wasn't doing a good job.
You wouldn't be in a position to help brief and support the former president if you didn't have the talent.
Huh. Thank you very much, Captain. I appreciate that. Well, no, you're right. I suppose I do. I do deserve to know what's going on. I can't do my job if I don't, and.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see if I can find time for a quiet word. Okay.
Please let me know how it goes. If only because frankly, I've just encouraged you to take something at risk. I hope that it does work out, but I think it's worthwhile.
I'm not going to get fired for asking an impertinent question. I'll get told not to ask impertinent questions and given another stack of pads to read through.
Is there anything I can do for you?
Very Tinker Tailor. No.
I mean information. Is there anything I can shed light on, as I say, trying to pull back the veil of this tribalism?
Actually, to be honest, I have had a difficult time trying to get a hold of someone on Admiral Markiewicz's staff. If there's anyone you can tell to get in touch with me so we can liaise, that would be ideal.
I'll run through my contacts and see if I can find someone.
Thank you, Captain. Well, I suppose I'll probably see you at dinner then.
No doubt.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm an effective assistant. I deserve my job. I'm more buttered than a slice of toast.
Oh, I need to make sure I find her a backup job when she gets her ass fired.
Excellent.
Kantos is very proud of you.
She probably is good at her job. This tribalism is very stupid.
The thing is that there are ways to be good at a job, and she's obviously not good at the part that is own your fucking shit and stand up to people who need sort of looking in the eye.
She probably is a fucking researcher to produce position papers, so go do that better with a bit more of spine to you, girl.
Okay, that was fantastic. So we'll see what the results are of that later. Back on the starship Berenike, you are in sickbay. Strange, can you make me an engineering roll?
I can indeed. That is a 4.
A 4, fantastic. So you are able to isolate this biobed from the ship's EPS system and get it to accept power from the plasma pack. You've probably got a couple of hours worth of power, which is more than can be said for the captain. And Dr. Light gets him up onto the bed and comes back with a couple of hypo sprays. All right, I think he's stable. I'm going to have to wake him up before I can re-induce a coma. All right, one moment. And he applies a hypospray to the captain's neck. The captain sort of comes to,
Captain, can you hear me?
No, please! Stop. And he faints. My goodness.
That was brief.
Dr. Light taps a control on the
Yes.
bio bed and it elevates up.
Brief but informative.
He is...
Right.
He is simply fated. I will bring him to... might I suggest giving us a little privacy?
Yes, Doctor, thank you.
Of course.
Sandra scooches away from that bit of segment. Seems to me that there is an unspoken concern in the room at the moment.
Yes.
And I believe that the poor captain has confirmed our suspicions.
Captain,
Yes?
I have returned the patient to what I believe is now a stable and correctly dosed coma. I suggest we return him to Iskandar as soon as possible. It is no longer absolutely urgent, but a fully powered sick bay will help him recover far better than this rather dingy alternative.
Doctor, if you remain with him while we finish our sweep of the ship.
I will, assuming I can maintain the use of this power pack, I believe I should have everything I need to replicate the most basic of medicines.
Should there be any other injured, we will bring them to you.
Very well, Captain.
We leave.
Right. Where to check next? Crew quarters, maybe?
Security.
Security.
If there were any more holed up, they would have retreated there.
You brace yourselves for this one, because you know that that security, of course, adjoins the brig, and you know from your close-up scan of the ship that half of the brig is missing. Fortunately, emergency force fields, actually they're not force fields, physical barriers have descended. Emergency force fields lost power. But fortunately, the ship is programmed to replicate physical barriers in that event. You go into... It's a very strange situation you walk into, because the room is awkwardly bisected by this solid wall of cheaply replicated durasteel. Wouldn't stand up to much, but it'll stand up to the vacuum of space.
Is there any sign of fighting other than the ship bisection?
You can see quite a few areas where there are a few what you might call scrapes of phaser fire on the walls. You can actually see an area up against the durasteel partition. You can actually see 3 distinct points of disruptor fire about a meter apart at about the same height as each other.
I suppose we check the crew quarters.
Does security have anywhere where it would have its own set of logs?
Yes.
Like locally?
Yeah.
Gonna check those before we go.
Okay.
If I can.
So once again, you can isolate the power and plug in your fusion battery, and once again it says that the logs have been deleted and gives neither a time code nor an authorization code.
Thought that would probably be the case, but worth checking whether it was just the bridge that had been wiped.
There's something, there's many things unanswered, but we've seen a lot of phaser fire. We get the impression that there was a boarding, yet there isn't a single body. So whoever did this, either they were very bad shots and didn't take down a single member of the crew,
Or they were very thorough in their cleanup.
but if there was enough time to clean up, he gestures to the durasteel that is replacing the bisected area of the ship.
No, I believe that what happened to the ship is what we believe happened to the ship. For if there was a boarding and the crew evacuated, for better or for worse, there would be no one to avoid the gravitons.
I think it's certainly possible that you had a boarding party of some kind, fight breaks out to cross the ship, the logs get wiped. Whoever boarded, they've done what they boarded to do and go after having... I don't know why they would take the effort to make sure that nobody was here, that there was no sign of anybody. That bit just seems a bit odd, but it's certainly possible to do that. And then this happened, and he gestures at where the durasteels come down. That could have happened on automated processes. The ship could have been sliced in half with nobody on board.
True, and then automatic.
And then the
repairs.
ship's automatic, exactly.
Yeah.
The ship's automatic repairs, pull down the emergency force fields.
That is what I said. If we're done here, we should go to the crew quarters.
Certainly.
You head further into the saucer section of the ship. You can see quite a few instances where a door has been forced open. Destructively, to the point where the door does not close any longer. Many of the quarters show evidence of directed energy fire.
And again, no bodies anywhere in the crew quarters?
No bodies are to be found. There is... In one of them, you see that the quarters are positioned in such a way that the bed is to the right of the door as you go in. It's one of the smaller solitary units, and you can see that about half the bed has been burned away.
As in, the bed had at some point in its past been set on fire?
No, as in, it is not, as in about half the bed is not there, and at its edges are what you would, by eye, call scorch marks.
Okay, right. So it could be burnt away, could have been, crudely cut away with something.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yet what is so special about sickbay?
Yes, if they've been so thorough everywhere else, why not sickbay?
I mean, if sick bay could have been one of the few places that had time to erect a security field.
What was you? If I remember correctly, sickbay's doors were difficult to open. Why was that?
The inner door had been partially phaser welded.
So sealed from the inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
That answers the question of what is so special about sickbay. We'll finish our sweep.
You continue to search the ship, and again, you find no bodies and no one living.
And again, I'm probably checking for logs, any kind of records anywhere. I'm presuming any that we find are either irrelevant or wiped.
Absolutely, all wiped. You find nothing of any, even the most trivial interface.
Not even like a letter from somebody's mum. Just
Everything has been
every possible bit of
everything has
record.
been either wiped or physically obliterated to the point where
right.
it's not readable.
Okay. Curiouser and curiouser.
Not exactly pristine surgery, since it's left so much evidence of itself, but thorough.
Thorough but quick. That's certainly the impression I'm getting of the job that was done here.
Well, I suppose if you do not have time, you're more likely to be aggressively thorough. There is very little subtlety here.
Yes, that's certainly true.
Very well, if we are done, we will return to sickbay.
Okay. As you head back to sickbay, we will head in to a break.
Oof.
And we'll be back in, I guess, look for us at 1:15, whatever the hour is, wherever you are. It'll be 9:15 for us.
Pick an hour, any hour.
Pick an hour. We'll be there. That's a promise we can't keep.
Literally think of any specific hour, we will be there.
Surprise 24-hour Iskandar stream. Let's do it. I'll be there.
Bye.
And
Hello, everyone. We're back. I'm talking with reputed war criminal Praxis Descends,
Hello.
who is joining me from downstairs in the living room. Praxis Descends, can you
Yes.
explain why you blew up 3 entire solar systems yesterday?
I felt it was my God-given right.
There we
As
have it. There we have
citizen.
it. A God-given citizen right. And that's it on NPR for this week. So, hi, everyone. Hope you enjoyed your break. I obviously did. We had a great time. And we're back with more Star Trek Iskandar. In the second half, how are things going to go? There's only one way to find out. Let's turn the page. Should that be my thing? Let's turn the page. Is that good?
Let's turn the page.
How's that testing? Bit LeVar Burton. That's okay. Okay. So let's go to the Iskandar. Woo! Nothing is happening. We do a long, slow pan of the bridge where everyone's like, it's boring not being on the away team, isn't it? But then you get a communication from Ensign
Need security.
Soze.
Oh, where does Ensign Soze work?
Ensign Soze is a security officer.
We've got more security guys.
So many of our NPCs have been named as security guys.
Ensign Soze to Lieutenant Vance.
Vance here.
I'm on station outside Lashar's quarters. She's quite insistent she gets to her ship quickly.
She is not to leave this ship.
I'm not sure that she wants to. I think she just wants to get to her ship. There's something she says she's left on there.
What?
She's not saying, but she says she needs to retrieve it. It will help you with your inquiries.
She can be more forthcoming if she wants to help me with our inquiries. And see if you can get her to actually, give you an explanation, because one moment ago she's saying that she wants to leave and now she's saying she wants to help. So no, I'm not letting her back onto her
She's
ship.
asking if she can speak with you in private, Lieutenant. Shall I escort her to the ready room, Lieutenant?
Yes, let's go for that.
No, I've explained, madam. The captain isn't... And then the call cuts off. Let's Jeremy Berenike to the ready room.
Brief moment of Lieutenant Casey, I'm going to go. The bridge is yours.
I am working my way down the chain of command.
If she tries to kill me, I'll scream really loudly.
Yes.
Understood.
Casey immediately has flashbacks to his Kobayashi Maru.
No, I was going to say, and then the cloth gets lifted, and it's his Kobayashi Maru retake.
No, I've been sworn no more fake crew members. Okay, so you go to the ready room and you wait for a couple of minutes, and she's not frog marched in. They you can see they're behind her when the door opens, but they stay outside. Lieutenant.
Ms. Lashar, what is it that you require of your ship?
I do not possess the ability to track time perfectly, Captain, but the last time I checked your ship's chronometer, my vessel has been aboard yours for almost 2 standard hours.
That sounds about right.
When my ship has been aboard yours for around 2 standard hours, it will explode.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that to me a lot more.
There is a device on my ship, an explosive device. It is designed to detonate if I do not input. What am I doing? I'm almost ready to go. You have to move at a speed of impulse, of half impulse.
If it goes below 50 miles per hour, this bus will explode.
God damn it!
Yes.
It is set to explode if I do not input an authorization code within every 2-hour period.
Why?
So that my ship is not apprehended.
Why would your ship be apprehended on this pilgrimage?
My pilgrimage does involve flying into Romulan space, Lieutenant.
So you set up your civilian ship to not fall into enemy hands?
That is the idea.
Did you think the Romulans were going to steal your plummy soup recipes?
No, I imagine they might be interested in taking me prisoner, since I would be across their border with dubious legality.
Uh-huh.
In any case, I believe time is pressing. I'm perfectly happy to be escorted, Captain, but I really do need to deactivate...
Let's go take a look, okay?
Yes, I think that would be a good idea.
And then we're going to return you to your quarters.
Captain, I suppose...
You have a device which might explode under certain circumstances. I'm going to be the one who's establishing where you can and can't go, because that's not, I don't think you get to pull the I'm just an innocent citizen going about my business card under the surface.
No, I was going to remark on your generosity and not placing me in your brig. Shall we?
That's the worst feeling in the world, isn't it? When you're ready to start a fight with someone.
I was going to say something nice. Well, fuck you anyway.
Hang on. Oh, apparently, I've been told in the Great War of Vulcans versus Southern anachronisms, it's Vulcans 2, Southern anachronism 0.
So you go down to the shuttle bay, and there's a small engineering crew. As you arrive, they go, "Oh, Lieutenant, There's a strange energy reading coming from one of the...
All right, Kingston, you're with me. Ms. Shar, let's go take a look at this device.
Oh, yes.
So I guess I'm going to fire Adam for not finding this.
He would have done. He would have. She goes on to her ship. Yes, here we go. There, all done.
All right. Ensign Kingston.
Since I'm here...
Since you're here, what?
Sorry, is his laugh. I can hear his laugh from downstairs.
I'm just actually really glad I get to be Vance and his can express my lack of fucks, which I can't if I were a thought.
Since I'm here and my ship is fully repaired, it seems as though I may as well depart.
No.
Especially since my ship contains a dangerous implement that may endanger your crew.
What, the explosive device rig that you
Yes.
set up here?
Yes.
No, and also I'm really concerned about the components from the Berenike, considering that we found that ship.
I've explained that
floating in
situation,
space.
Lieutenant.
Yes, and I'm not satisfied by your explanation. And a Federation starship has been massively, at least, damaged, if not destroyed. So that's an ongoing situation, and I am not going to allow you to depart at this point. So, Ensign Soze, if you could have Miss Lashar escorted back to her quarters. And
Very well, then I suppose I'm not left with any other alternative. I formally request political asylum.
you're gonna have to explain that one to me better.
In private or not at all?
Well, I could just have you put back on. How about we walk back to your quarters, Ms. Lashar?
Once again, how generous.
Let's take this Romulan ass spy back to her quarters.
She's not a Romulan spy.
Okay, this Romulan political refugee.
Couldn't hear what you shouted, but I'm sure you shouted something. You go to her quarters.
Mm-hmm.
It would be much safer for you if you let me leave. You're endangering your ship by keeping me on board.
How about you start actually explaining yourself and not this horse shit about how you are meditating too badly to try to not avoid crashing into our starship in the middle of space.
That could very easily be true.
Yeah, but again, how I made that comment about odds being literally astronomical in that situation.
I was not meditating, but I had lost control of my ship. I was not intending to ram your vessel. In fact, I was trying to prevent myself from being detected.
I believe that you lost control. So why do you need political asylum, Ms. Lashar of Vulcan?
I do not necessarily need political asylum if I can persuade you that it is in the best interests of the safety and the lives of your crew to let me go on my way.
All right, well, the best way to do that is if you stop screwing around and tell me what's going on.
I am a fugitive, not a pilgrim. I have been involved in the unification movement, and while the present Romulan government has been generous, that generosity has in recent months waned. And since I have, as part of my dedication to the unification movement, renounced my Federation citizenship, I cannot, in fact, depend upon the automatic protection of Starfleet. This situation I did impart to Captain Redan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid that there have been recent governmental changes on Romulus, and the new government is dedicated to the thorough destruction of the unificationist movement. And I'm afraid that means that certain matters that were allowed to remain true under the previous government are no longer in receipt of such generosity, including, for example, the lives of those Vulcans who have been living sub-legally on Romulus.
So you were effectively... So you were a Vulcan, no longer a citizen, living on Romulus, working on the unification effort, and the leeway that the government gave you has been rescinded.
The leeway and any rights that I might have previously assumed have been rescinded. And in fact, I believe that a great many of my comrades have already been terminated. I was given enough warning to find passage off Romulus, but the shortcut I was given brought me through the system, and as you can imagine, it is not an effective shortcut. However, since the Romulans are hunting me, and I do not wish to be the exacerbator of tensions between Romulus and the Federation, or indeed to cause the sure destruction of your ship at the hands of a government that in all likelihood does not particularly concern itself with the ramifications of that, I ask you to reconsider giving me back access to my ship.
So you're asking that I can let you on your ship so you can continue to flee the Romulan forces, because the alternative is if you are on this ship, then that may make us an enemy of the Romulans.
Indeed. At the moment, I am not a Federation citizen. Therefore, if I am unsuccessful in fleeing and am killed, there is no diplomatic repercussion.
I mean, there is already the slightly sticky situation that multiple officers witnessed you asking for political asylum. Obviously, that can be moved away. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is that certainly I am not going to make this decision. Our acting commanding officer is on the Berenike, and this is absolutely a decision that I believe can wait until she hears the matter.
I am not certain if you have assessed that correctly.
What makes you think
Lieutenant.
that we're in any immediate danger? Do you have information on Romulan ship movements, which makes you particularly concerned?
I believe that there is at least one cloaked Romulan vessel in this system, Lieutenant, yes.
What makes you believe that?
I had heard talk of such things when I was briefly on the bridge of the Berenike.
Well, one thing springs to mind. Something's happened to the Berenike.
Yes.
And the Berenike, you explained the situation. Oh, you explained something to the Berenike. They let you carry on your way.
Yes. After repairing my ship.
And we have already done more than repair your ship. We have already hosted you. We have already assisted in the repairs of your ship. And something happened to the Berenike. And if there's Romulans out there who mean us harm, I'm not sure that letting you go is automatically going to guarantee your safety.
They do not mean you harm. They mean me harm.
There is something out there that is a potential threat. It might not be the Romulans that occurred to the Berenike, but something has happened to that ship. Also, what happened to your ship to damage it after you left the Berenike? Why did you lose control?
The gravitic shoal.
Are you screwing with me some more?
Lieutenant?
I want you to think very hard about if that is the answer you want to give. Is that the truth?
That is indeed the truth.
All right.
All of my actions have been, first and foremost, to prevent the very thing that I have dedicated the last 2 decades of my life, i.e. good relationships between the Romulans and the Federation, from declining, and secondly, to protect the lives on board this ship. While I travel alone, I'm a risk only to myself.
Well, I think that a wider responsibility that I have as a Starfleet officer makes that a bit more squiffy as a stance. I am not going to make this decision. I am going to have you remaining on board until Commander Thalandra is back. And at the very least, I'm inclined to make the recommendation that she accept this scenario of political asylum. If nothing else, something has befallen the Berenike. The situation remains intensely dangerous. And I cannot, in any good conscience, allow you to carry on your way while you may be being hunted.
I understand that, but I am accepting the moral responsibility, and the consequences are mine to bear, not yours, Lieutenant.
Kind of going out here and looking for trouble in the Starfleet uniform sort of makes that burden, again, a bit more of a voluntary one on my part.
May I ask then, Lieutenant, if between now and the return of communications with Captain Talandra, a demand is made that you hand me over, what legal basis will you have? If I have not accepted, if my request for asylum has not been accepted, not to hand me directly over to the Romulans?
I mean, right now, we have no contact externally with Starfleet, so the judgment of whether or not political asylum has been accepted or not is something which just rests with me. I would say I have accepted your request for political asylum.
I see.
And until we could reestablish communication with Starfleet, at present, I am the ranking representative of the entire Federation in this situation.
Yes.
So,
I believe it is fair to say, Lieutenant, that I have overplayed my hand. One might even say painted myself into a corner. So, asylum.
That seems to be where we're going. You can, the only reason I'm not making formal is you might have more luck convincing Talandra than me. I doubt it.
Perhaps then, though I have no specific requests at this time, I might offer you something as an act of good faith.
You could do with some of that, yeah.
One moment, please.
Bomb.
Here are the schematics of my ship and instructions for removing the explosive device.
Thank you. I will have that sent down to Ensign Kingston.
Was intended in the event of my capture by Romulans, not by Starfleet. But then again, I had not intended to be captured by Starfleet at all. Normally speaking, you would release me as your law demands.
You were a highly suspicious individual while we were investigating a missing persons case.
Yes, I agree completely.
But I understand your motivation. Although, honestly, the Romulans would probably take you off your ship, and then you just blowing up a ship and not yourself.
I've lived among Romulans long enough to know what their interrogatory procedures are.
All right. I can't say I have.
I have been, at least in some senses, a Romulan citizen for the better part of the last 2 decades.
As you say, I won't try to beat you on experience there. Well,
and I am to stay here and not be imprisoned?
Again, we're still operating under the you're either a guest or you've requested political asylum. If you want to force the matter, then that'll be the break, but I don't actually see the point in that.
No, Lieutenant, no. I was once again simply remarking upon Starfleet's forbearance. Should this situation resolve in a way in which I survive it, your generosity will be remarked upon.
Oh, my mother always said you catch more flies with honey than vinegar.
Why would you wish... Never mind.
You can throw out the flies, I guess, but...
I see.
You can... Ensign Soje will remain on the door. Please do not harangue him to be allowed back onto your ship, the answer will be no.
I believe I understand the precise amount of privilege I now enjoy aboard this ship. You shall hear no more from me, Lieutenant.
Understood. I will let you know if the commander is back. I leave. I send poor Engineer Kingston the please get this bomb off this ship for this total pain in my ass. And I'm going to go back on the bridge and wait for away team to get their shit together.
You return to the... I'm not leaving. The camera's not leaving it. You turn around as you're about to walk on the bridge and you notice the camera is still behind. Wait a moment.
Fuck off.
What the fuck? And you enter the bridge and you see that you are at yellow alert.
I was about to say, Lieutenant Casey, what's going on? At which point Mike goes, I have no fucking clue.
It's okay, Tarek knows. Tarek knows everything.
Oh no.
Tarek never goes on away missions.
I pressed a button. I don't know what to tell you.
He's just like,
I can't get it to go off now. We've been
just a
firing
stress
faces
stream.
in random directions for the last 5 minutes. We've gone to yellow alert because we've received a one-way communication on a Romulan frequency.
One way, huh? Let's hear it.
Federation vessel, this is the Romulan Star Imperium. You are in violation of our sovereign territory. By our rights as enunciated in the Treaty of Algeron, we demand that you withdraw at once or be fired upon. Message ends. This was just less than a minute ago.
We're not over the border.
Not as far as I know. We're cutting a fine line, but we're not in the Romulan part of the neutral zone.
Not to mention the fact that they also shouldn't be in the neutral zone. So,
No.
a lot of things going on here. No, you. I assume that we have no means of responding, no source on that, anything we can find?
I can open a communications channel, but I do not know if they'll be able to pick it up. I'm a little surprised they were able to get a communication through, but their protocols are different from ours.
Let's see if we can at least put a response out there.
Channel open.
Romulan vessel. This is Atticus Vance of the USS Iskandar. We disagree with your assessment. We remain outside of Romulan territory or the Romulan neutral zone as agreed on by the Treaty of Algeron. If you are suffering some sort of problem with your sensor telemetry, we'll be happy to render any assistance and indeed assist in escorting you back within Romulan territory should you require it. Please advise. Thank you.
I'm glad you responded to that. I wouldn't have mustered quite the same mustard, I suppose.
Yeah, that must be where the word comes from, says Tarek.
They're full of horseshit trying to tell us that we're in the wrong place, so I'm going to imply that they're bad at their jobs.
Duly
We
noted.
are perfectly entitled to be here.
So, Lieutenant Casey, I don't suppose there's anything else we're getting off the Berenike or any chance that we can get the away team to, get their asses back here. It's not urgent. They should finish the investigation, but it would be great if it was over.
I'll do my level best.
All right.
Let's catch up with the away team, shall we? So, where did we last leave you? You were returning to the sick bay.
Yes, our plan was to
Leave.
Mhm.
Move the captain to the shuttle and prepare to evacuate.
Because this is a thing that never happens in Star Trek, but holograms are literally shapeshifters. Oh, well, okay. to be clear, I did say this in the very first session he was in. He's not actually a hologram. He's actually an isomorphic projection. He's still a shapeshifter, and he becomes a self-mobile stretcher. Because why wouldn't he? Why doesn't the Doctor use telekinesis? Because of course he can. Why does he have to physically... Anyway, holograms. So he becomes a stretcher.
That's his thing. That's this guy's thing.
Because he can. Okay. And the captain is moved slowly but surely through the ship. If that's all you're doing, I think I might move on.
This is the dramatic scene of like us moving, and it's like, that's what they're doing. Time.
Meanwhile, back on the Berenike.
So I think what we do is as you leave and go back into the hatch down to the shuttle, one of the consoles you activated briefly flashes up, tactical alert. But you don't see it because you're gone. But let's go to Starbase Redacted, where Athan is... Sorry, I'm hearing a sound that I can't possibly be hearing.
Yeah, I know. What is this? Like 2009?
What was? Is someone's Nokia about to deliver them an SMS? I'm glad that wasn't just me. That was the most bizarre thing.
I'm in a tabletop game. That's rubbish.
I used my phone, by the way. I used my phone so little that they've deactivated my SIM card. I hadn't turned my phone on for about 6 months. I just had an email going, buddy.
Real mad about the data plan I've paid for.
Right. So, Athan, you are...
yes, I have to have fucks now.
You have to have some fucks, and you are having fucks presently as promised. I think the next moment is dinner in the refectory area. You actually see your friend Emelina eating alone, looking rather disgruntled and not a little shaken.
Athan will have tried to have found someone in Markovitz's staff flight to potentially hook her up with, in the diplomatic sense, not in the biblical sense.
No.
And go over and thank you, Izzy.
Thanks,
and head over.
Keep it sleazy. Okay, Captain. Yes, no, please ring me.
Stiglitz.
I got the details from you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad. I hope will be of use.
That's very helpful.
You seem troubled.
Well, yes, I am. I did as you advised, and I went to Icarus and said, "Can I get a clarification on the change of position that Jaroshin you demonstrated, so I can understand the internal logic and write up." There was none. And I know you have no reason to believe me as opposed to anyone else. You weren't there, you don't know me, and I'm very low ranking. But I promise you, I know what Jarosh Enyo said. I heard him express that he agreed with the continuing committee. And I was just told an hour ago that I was mistaken, that he never had. And I tried to press the point, and Icarishil sort of just very firmly, without so much as saying drop it, told me to drop it.
That's very odd. I suppose, well, I hate to venture it, but unfortunately within these matters, politics can sometimes come up. External pressures. Maybe the president learned of something where he decided it might not be as advisable to oppose the protectorate as he'd once thought.
Perhaps, but I've I've known him to change his mind, and it happens often, but it's never denied. I mean, this was in private as well. I mean, there were only the three of us were in the room.
That is concerning, I must admit.
I don't know what it is. I find the whole thing just very jarring. I don't know if I'm concerned. I remember it very clearly. I haven't misremembered anything. It gave me a very bitter taste in my mouth.
No, quite.
I find it all very strange that I should be told that I heard a thing I didn't hear, and that
it makes it difficult for you to do your work. Certainly,
makes it very difficult for me personally.
Anyone else in the room for the initial conversation about the Protectorate?
No, let me see. There were the three of us, and Jarish Inyo was receiving it wasn't a live communique. It was a previously broadcast announcement. It was from the Presidium. And he was commentating on it as more information was coming out and chuntering to himself about it. And
oh yes, and then an hour or so later, a complete 180.
But I didn't mishear him. He expressly dismissed the idea that the Protectorate was a serious entity worth taking seriously. He said something like, damn them, or something like that. But now, as far as he's concerned, they are the legitimate government on Romulus.
Which I must confess I find a little difficult to swallow myself, but we're only in the early days of analysis. Well, that is unfortunate and unpleasant for you to go through. I suppose all I can advise is for you to carry on with your work as it stands.
Maybe I can have another look at the meeting logs. He might have met with someone.
That's entirely possible. Yes, maybe there's someone there who could shed more light on the situation if he's taken any meetings over in that hour that you would be able to see. It's the best way for you to be able to, frankly, staff him effectively.
I'll get on with that then. Yeah.
I think you're right.
I think I'll get on with that, and then at the end of this conference I might. Well, there's no point making a rash decision.
No, there's no point. One step at a time. If he met with someone, then they may be able to shed further light on the matter. And this has probably been a misunderstanding which you'll be able to clear up.
Yeah, I'm sure. Maybe I did misremember. It doesn't seem likely.
It's possible he learned something, was a little abashed at the severity of his initial outburst.
That is true. That is very true. Sometimes, yes, the image of constancy has to be projected. I understand that, but this was in private. There wasn't. Well, we'll see. I suppose I'm not part of the inner circle.
Pride is a prickly thing, I fear.
Yes, yeah.
But if you met with someone, they may be able to shed some light on the matter.
Okay, I'll look into it. I suppose I might not see you till tomorrow, but
I'll be around.
I'll keep you posted.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for the details.
Yes, I believe the lieutenant may be of some use.
Oh, I'm guessing by the name Tellarite?
Yes, so he'll be very forthright and stubborn about these things, but just meet him blow for blow.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just making sure I was pronouncing the V correctly.
Yes.
Enjoy your dinner.
Go, my little spy. Get fired.
Oh, Athan. So ruthless. While you're eating, you get a notification on a pad that you have with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, "Stop digging." The worst thing you can say to a Star Trek protagonist.
Thank you for confirming some things afoot, you weirdo.
Okay, so, the dramatic shot that this scene ends with is someone laying down. We only see their hand. They lay down the pad, and they curl up their fist on the table dramatically, like a children's cartoon villain. They stop sort of saying, "Damn you, Vance!" But that's the energy. Let's cut back to Lieutenant Vance. I said Vance Athan. Let's cut back to Lieutenant Vance on the bridge of the Iskandar. We're getting another communication through, Lieutenant.
All right, put it through.
This system is within the Romulan Imperium's sphere of influence. Your presence here is in violation of the Treaty of Algeron. Federation vessel, for the last time, we demand that you begin withdrawal procedures within the next minute. If you do not, we will be forced to fire upon you. End of message.
All right. Let's, I know our senses are for absolutely nothing, but keep scanning the area. I don't suppose we'll be lucky enough to pick up any indication of any tachyons, or we'll be so lucky on that regard beforehand. But I don't believe that. I mean, what the hell's a sphere of influence? And it definitely ain't recognized by the Treaty of Algeron. So whatever they're smoking, I'd like some next. So keep an eye out, Lieutenant. It'd be really great if the away team got back soon. But let's stay at yellow alert.
Yes, Captain.
You start sweeping for tachyons and for a gravitic signature.
Yes.
I mean, they still weigh something. It's difficult, but I will let you roll a science check.
Goal is primarily not get completely caught with our pants down. Rather.
Risky position, reduced effect.
666.
That's bad news. You shouldn't. I think you've rolled too many dice. That's an excellent roll. I need to give you something for that. I think what I give you is enough time to say, Lieutenant, we should go to red alert.
Lieutenant, we should go to red alert.
Red alert.
As some way distant from the Iskandar, this slender profile of a large Romulan warbird decloaks. It is around 10 times the size of the Iskandar. It probably boasts at least 10 times the firepower. And Tarek reports, "Sir, it's charging weapons. To be continued."
That's way too big. When we say slender shape of a Romulan warbird, like the Deredex or Scimitar?
It's a Valdor.
Oh, Valdor. Okay.
I don't know what the ship class of the Valdor is, but it's a Valdor. They didn't make any more scimitars, I hope. That thing was a movie ship. That's ridiculous. Yeah. They wouldn't bother decloaking, would they? They
just fucking kill us.
But yes, so you're in a sticky situation. There are sticky situations abound.
Gosh.
Violence and intrigue, and Lashar is something. Who knows? Lashar might be a Romulan citizen, but not a Romulan, or might just be lying. Sounds like some Romulan. I mean, either way, it's definitely Romulan nonsense, isn't it?
This whole thing is just it all just sounds like some Romulan nonsense.
The Romulans are great because they are unremittingly arrogant. They will never admit defeat in any circumstance.
Duke, I will give you all of my trash bags for Agniarda to be on that ship.
Hello, we've been doing some shit.
It's
me.
me.
With her. I can't just go, Cantos, just go deal with her.
It's me, the Vorta, remember? From work?
Hello. We've been
I'm-
destabilizing things. How's it going?
Hello.
We're
I'm
trying a new thing
oily.
now. Yeah, so that's it for this week's episode of that I think is it, because I want to start fresh with the starship combat. You might have gathered,
Ship combat might take a while.
you want to be at your best for the starship combat since you are ridiculously outgunned. But you
Stop
are in a
texting us 2004.
but you are in a very small ship and have a lot of advantages in this region of space. The warbird is going to have to tread very carefully, or it will end up, getting cut in half. I've been Kath sent me some stuff months and months and months and years and decades ago about ship combat, and I've been working on something of my own that I thought I wanted to try out, and then I scrapped it, and then I've been working on something else. But yeah, so we want to do ship combat, but we'll go into ship combat.
Okay.
And,
I ship Talandra, Caliph Elra.
epic ship battles of history. Zutara versus Katradora. Begin.
Cachadora wins. The end.
Katradora wins. It's canon. Yeah, no. Fair
Yeah, I
enough.
was gonna say one of these is canon.
Every ship in Shi'ar was canon. They couldn't resist. Right. Okay. Then that's everything from me. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's thrilling installation. I don't know if next week will be the last part. Possibly. I think probably.
But it will be thrilling.
But it will be very thrilling as Athan
blow
will
up.
hopefully solve the mystery of Jarish Inu. Hopefully the Iskandar doesn't blow up. And the away team may well get away from the horrible ghost ship of the Berenike. A help has been redeemed. I need to remember that a help has been redeemed.
I'm going to redeem that help by going bad.
You just get the commander back on the ship, and I can just shoot the guns, please.
No, I want you to have to command this. I think it's great. Plus, we're going to be a little duty runabout in the middle of a ship combat. I love it.
No. Put Vance on the guns. Make Casey command the
Yeah,
ship.
you know how to command us to our deaths, Casey. You've got experience of that.
No.
Exactly.
Not sure if
Cool.
that's necessarily the CV that you want, but okay. Yeah.
I want to be the duty runabout in a ship combat. I want to be there going,
Runabouts are a bit better than yours.
I was going to say runabout is an optimistic word here.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I'm going to pass on to Lieutenant Comrade Talandra.
what up, you guys? It's your boy, Lieutenant Comrade Talandra. This week I'm not giggling hysterically. I'm just quite tired. So this is going to be a chill old list of our delightful Patreons. So
Everyone
I ask you to get yourself a cup of tea, put on some smooth jazz, and have your trash bags in the chat ready to rock and roll for these lovely people. The Armchair Egyptologist, Ken Poyner, Kiwi Tokoeka, Photosynthetic, Elegos Alexander, Liz Murphy, Michael Kreese, Andre Cherepnin, Joe, Lou Sutcliffe, Socky, Henry Prestige, Caffeine Kitty, Hobbs138, James Malloy, Mike Fielding, Michael Bowman, and of course everybody's favoritely named members of the Trash Fam, Helena and or Handbasket. You might have noticed I missed a name. That's because if ever I say it, he starts screaming. And this is chill time, a chill session for chill people. No unchill here.
Give me $20. You didn't name me.
Have I been wifing in the club? Also, I'll give you $20 when you
I'm going to
back...
try and say.
Also, hang on. I'll give you $20 when you back us at $20, you piece of shit.
I guess
That was a scam he just tried to run on us. I'm going to try and pronounce it. Misha L.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Misha L.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, isn't it?
Wow, I thought it was Mishael
Yep.
Kilburn.
We need to ask you, excuse me, how do you pronounce your name?
Yeah. Could you tell us how you pronounce your
How
name,
would you
please, sir?
pronounce that?
How would you pronounce a name like that?
I have a button I can press to change this stream whenever I want. That's a
thing-
power I can
Question will go,
utilize.
he's avoiding
You
the
can,
question.
but
thing I love-
we'll never learn how to
Euthanasia,
pronounce your name.
the
The
if you
thing I
do
love
that.
more than anything is that for people who are not on our Patreon, which you should, at patreon.com/ityoukrew, we might pronounce your name wrong on purpose. It's great.
Yeah, it's a treat.
But we named all of the various tiers after members of the trash crew. And the thing that makes me happiest of all is that darling beloved Mike is on the tier named after me. So I feel like I own him.
Okay.
She really does feel that way.
Oh.
Just worth noting, a special treat for you tonight. The people who are on the just a bit extra level, which is named after me, therefore people I own.
So yeah, join our Patreon for $5 a month if you would like to sign your soul to Praxis Descends. She's never been known to actually devour souls. So
except for Mike's.
Well,
that's it from us.
on that note,
Yeah, that's it from us. Look out for us next Tuesday at the same time.